we mostly use the chemical energy of the fuel and convert that into mechanical energy to make the vehicle propel ahead or in any desired direction, isn't it? So वहां पे मतलब हमारी normally जो IC engine vehicles होती है उसमें क्या होता है, we use petrol, we use diesel, or we use any liquefied format or compressed format of fossil fuels in order to propel the vehicle ahead, in order to power the IC engine up, right? But in electric vehicles, what we are going to do is we are just going to replace the chemical energy source with an electrical energy source. Okay, we will replace the chemical energy source with the electrical energy source. So in ICE, in EVs or in electric vehicles, what basically happens is instead of running on chemical energy, they run on electrical energy. Now the electrical energy that we produce, okay, because any which ways, in order to make the vehicles move, we need मैकेनिकल एनर्जी, व्हीकल को अहेड या रिवर्स डायरेक्शन में मूव करने के लिए हमको मैकेनिकल एनर्जी चाहिए होती है, राइट? सो in order to generate or in order to produce the required mechanical energy for making the vehicle move, what we do is we use certain electrical machines. Okay, we use certain electrical machines which are capable of converting the electrical energy from the power source into mechanical energy that is needed for propulsion. So in layman's term, if I got to define what electric vehicles are, I can say that they are basically those type of automobiles, or EVs are defined as such type of automobiles which will run on electrical energy, and the electrical energy will be supplied to an electrical machine to generate the required mechanical energy for propulsion. Okay, so this is the layman's term definition of electric vehicles. Now moving on to a bit more technicality. So what I right now said is electric vehicles basically are those type of vehicles which run on electrical energy and are mated to a electrical machine for converting electrical into mechanical energy. So basically in an electric vehicle, there are three main parts. Okay, there are three main processes or three main operations that we got to deal. Firstly, we have the electrical energy source, which is going to serve as the power source for our electric vehicles. Okay, the electrical energy source is going to provide the power. Now, in electric vehicles, like you might have observed in the market, there are a lot of battery powered electric cars, right? Basically, electric vehicles are of three different types. Okay, normally the electric vehicles which we have in our market, they are of three different types: the battery electrics, hybrid electrics, and plug-in hybrids, right? So depending on the fuel sources being used, depending on the electric vehicle configuration, we have the three different type of electric vehicles, right? The battery EVs, the hybrid electrics, and the plug-in hybrids, right? So in an electric vehicle, what happens is that there are three different processes or three major components that we must be considering or that we must be aware of. The first one is the electric power source or the source of electrical energy source. So if there are a multitude of electrical energy sources which I can be using in my electric vehicle to power them up. ओके मेरी इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल को पावर अप करने के लिए मेरे पास बहुत सारे ऑप्शंस हैं जो मैं यूज करके उनमें इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस कर सकता हूं. लाइक वी हैव गॉट बैटरी पैक्स as one of the most popular choices of electrical energy source. Then we have got the IC engine and battery pack combination, which we mostly see in hybrid electric vehicles as another one popular option. Then secondly, we have got fuel cells as another one popular option of fuel cell sources. So likewise, there are multitude of ways that we could be using, that we could be combining together in order to power up our electric vehicles. But the batteries are the most reliable. The batteries are the most popular. They are the most popular type of energy source which we use in our electric vehicles, just because of the fact that they have been around us for a longer amount of time. Okay, the battery packs have been, or the batteries have been around the automotive manufacturers, around mankind since like almost 1860. मतलब 1860s से हमारे पास we were having batteries, right? So let me tell you just a fun fact. Okay, it was in 1859 1859 में हमारी वर्ल्ड की पहली रिचार्जेबल बैटरी बनाई गई थी. ओके, इट वाज इन 1859 व्हेन वर्ल्ड्स फर्स्ट रिचार्जेबल बैटरी व्हिच वाज अ लेड एसिड सेल. So, जो chemistry, the chemistry which we use, the normally batteries work on electrochemistry, right? So, the electrochemistry which was used in the 1859 lead acid cell is still the same in 2021. जो इलेक्ट्रोकेमिस्ट्री हम लोग वो 1859 के सेल में यूज कर रहे थे, लेड एसिड सेल में यूज कर रहे थे, अभी 2021 में भी हम सेम ही केमिस्ट्री यूज कर रहे हैं. यस, ऑब्वियसली there has been a lot of improvement, there has been a lot of technological advancement, but the foundation of the technology has been pretty similar. Okay, so that is one of the major components of your electric vehicles, the electrical energy source. You can be using batteries, you can be using fuel cells, you can be using solar energy. There are multiple ways that you can be using to generate or produce or provide electrical energy to your electric vehicle for making them move. Now, this was all about the first major component of your electric vehicle. Now, coming down to the second major component, which is your electrical machine. Now, going by the definition, what I said, electric vehicles basically are those type of vehicles which use electrical energy, which move on electrical energy and convert. Okay, they are mostly mated to an electrical machine that will convert your mechanical into electrical energy, right? So the second most important component for your electric vehicle is going to be the electrical machine. Okay, now most common no rocket science being involved over here. The most common, the most popular electrical machine which will be converting your electrical into mechanical energy is none other than your electric motors. Okay, electric motors are those electrical machines which are mostly mated with any circuit that you see, be it in an industry, be it in any domestic appliance. Everywhere and anywhere we have got motors which are mated with electrical circuits to convert the electrical energy into mechanical energy. So is the case with electric vehicles as well. We use the electric motor which consumes electrical energy from the battery pack, from the fuel cell, or from whatever could be your source, and convert that into mechanical energy for making the vehicle propel, or for propelling the vehicle. Okay, so basically what will happen is the electrical energy from the power source, from the, let's say, the battery pack, let's say the fuel cell or whatever, or let's say the super capacitor, which bhi ho sakta hai. So the electrical energy will be supplied to the electric motor. The motor will be converting that energy into converting that electrical energy into mechanical energy, and it is connected, it will basically be connected to the drive wheels of the vehicle, जो wheels हमारे ground के साथ traction बनाती है, right? So the electric motors will be connected to the drive wheels of your vehicle, and your vehicle will be capable of moving in the desired direction depending on the direction of rotation of the motor. मोटर जिस वे में रोटेट करेगा या फिर जिस डायरेक्शन में रोटेट करेगा, our wheels will also be rotating in that corresponding direction. Okay, so this is what, or this is how basically you can define electric vehicles in layman's term, and also in a bit technical, also with a bit of technicality as well. Just repeating to you guys, layman's term में तुम बोल सकते हो EVs basically are those type of automobiles जहाँ पे in which or wherein we have electrical energy, or we need electrical energy in order to power up or in order to propel the vehicle. Now the electrical energy needs to be converted into mechanical energy, which is done by making the electric power source or energy source compatible to a electrical machine. Now, in order to have the electrical power source, we could be using multiple ways. Okay, we have multitude of ways by which we can be powering up our electric vehicles. We can use battery packs, we can use fuel cells, we can mate our IC engine along with a battery pack. So there are multitude of options. Then but the battery packs are the most reliable, most convenient, and most oldest type of technology that has been used, or that is being used since a very long time for powering up electric vehicles. Okay, because they have been around us for the longest. They are a tried, tested, and proven technology. Cool. Then coming to the second part about the electrical machine. So electrical machine mein hum log mostly we use electric motors. So there are AC motors, there are DC motors, depending upon the config of your powertrain. Okay, there are different type of motors that we use in our electric vehicles, either AC or DC motors, which will be mostly depending on the electric powertrain's configuration. Okay, so that's that about it. Now, moving on towards the second topic for today, which is some electric vehicle examples. Okay, now if you do not know, or if you wouldn't have noticed electric vehicles around you, जो कि आप लोग ज़्यादा capable होगे भी नहीं, because these electric vehicles, when they drive on the roads, they are as silent as a whizzing past wind. Okay, they will just whiz past you as silently as a cool breeze goes. Okay, you won't be noticing them quite easily. So if you wouldn't have noticed, or for the untrained eyes, so guys, this is what the electric vehicles look like, or this are the electric vehicles which we right now have in our Indian market. We have Hyundai Kona, which is a very popular battery electric vehicle. If जो लोग टीवी देखते होंगे उनको आइडिया होगा, India's first electric SUV. Hyundai was the very first manufacturer to launch India's first electric SUV, which was the Hyundai Kona. The Hyundai Kona also comes in IC engine variant, but not in India. India में सिर्फ इसकी electric variant ही आती है. So this is the Hyundai Kona electric. And then coming to the most popular and the largest selling electric vehicle in the Indian market, which is the Tata Nexon electric vehicle, which is after which Tata was also being considered as India's Tesla. So the Tata Nexon EV, one of the most successful electric vehicles which we have in India as of now. 6 months of launch timeline, 3,000 units of booking. Quite a good product growth, right? So that's that about it. So Hyundai Kona, Tata Nexon. Along with that, you have certain hybrid electric vehicles as well, like Toyota Camry. Yeah, Toyota Camry is बहुत popular है. You know, most of the people would have seen the Toyota Camrys running on their city roads. So this is the Toyota Camry, which you can see. This is a hybrid electric vehicle that has got a IC engine mated with a battery pack. Okay, Toyota Camry में battery pack भी है और एक IC engine भी है, जिसके वजह से we mostly call it as a hybrid electric vehicle, as it has got two different powertrains in it. Then along with that, we have the Honda Accord hybrid. Yes, we do not have hybrid Hondas in India, but yeah, as much as I know, or as much as I remember, uh, we are going to be having the Honda City hybrid in India next year. So let's see, hope for the best. So that's that about it. Then moving on towards certain components of electric vehicles. So guys, as you can be seeing right now on your screens, now we are going to be learning about the various major components of your electric vehicles. Okay, we are going to be learning about the major components of electric vehicles. So are you guys clear until now? अभी तक सब लोग clear हो? Oh God. अरे 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 chat. Okay, cool. So your slides were not visible initially. Okay, there could be a problem. Little bit fast. Okay. Sorry, Gulshad, I can't share the PPT. No, not at all. Yeah, quite similar. Yashwant, ultra capacitors and super capacitors are quite similar. Only the first slide was visible. Okay, मैं देख लूँगा.
So
Okay.
actually, Lokesh sir, inform the students that we had a cyclone just one day back, so that's why there is some network issues. So we are facing such problems for that. So students were really sorry.
Okay.
We'll make sure that tomorrow we'll resolve this problem and come up with a solution. Okay.
Okay. Sir, हिंदी देखो यार, जो लोग बोल रहे हो you can't understand English or you can't understand Hindi. See, most of the students over here are in English, so most of the times I would be talking in English, और थोड़ा थोड़ा जो होगा, because यार सबको cater करने का बनता है मेरे को ना. I can't like completely cover this workshop in Hindi और completely English में तो नहीं कर सकता. दोनों के दोनों language bilingual होना पड़ेगा मेरे को अभी यहाँ पे. So I I will do, no, I'll like take most of the, no, most part of the session in English, and also I will, be using Hindi at certain times because I have to cater to the Hindi people as well. मतलब जो लोग हिंदी मतलब English नहीं समझते, I need to try to overcome the, okay, here there is supply loss. English is better for understanding. Yeah, exactly. Don't spam, guys. Pranav, I'm so happy that try to do. Obviously, I will try to. I will obviously do it in English. It's going to be interesting. Okay, Amir. Wow. Varun, I wouldn't be showing it today because see this webinar, I mean this workshop is mostly for fuel cells, right? So I'm not like going to do a lot of, we are not going to be lingering around more about the technology of battery electrics or hybrid electrics. Rather हम लोग ज्यादा focus करेंगे fuel cells में. So ये first day में मैं I'm just like talking to you about electric vehicles in the first day just because ये तुम्हारा introduction session है, and most of the people कुछ लोग होते हैं जो कि acquainted नहीं होते हैं. So in order to just give acquaintance to them, I'm just like क्या बोल रहे थे? I'm just like showing it. So if you want to learn more about battery electrics or any other type of electric vehicle technology, you can keep a check on our Instagram pages so that wherein we mostly post about the workshops and webinars, and will be updated over there only. Okay, sir, can you do Malayalam? Not at all. Not at all. I only know three languages whole my life: Hindi, English, and Odia. Odia is my mother tongue. और हिंदी इंग्लिश मैंने सीखी मेरे स्कूल में. So I can't do anything other than that. Okay, cool. So now that you guys are quite you're understanding quite well. We are again gonna go back to the presentation. Yeah, screen is being shared. I hope screen sharing बंद तो नहीं? Stop share. Okay. Stop share. Hey. Okay. So assuming my screen is visible to all of you, now we are moving on towards the presentation. Yeah. So as I was talking about the components of electric vehicles. So, so guys, as you can be seeing on your screens right now, this is an outline sketch of an electric vehicle. Okay, so आप लोगों को पता होगा अगर there is an electric vehicle which is known as Renault Zoe. Renault is basically a Italian manufacturer, I guess. I don't exactly remember ये French था कि Italian था, but Renault is a European manufacturer who makes cars like Renault Duster, Renault Triber. So they also have got a certain electric vehicles, but in the foreign market. So can the Renault Zoe is one of the very popular hatchbacks which they sell in the international markets. And this outline sketch which you see right over here is of the Renault Zoe only. ये जो outline sketch आप लोग देख रहे हो अभी अपने screen पर, ये एक electric hatchback Renault Zoe. Okay, Renault is a major automotive manufacturer जो इंडिया में डस्टर, ट्राइबर और रेनो क्विड जैसे गाड़ियां बेचती है. ओके, सो रेनो कि इंडिया में हाल फिलहाल में कोई तो इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल है नहीं, बट या इन फ्यूचर कुछ ना कुछ तो आ ही जाएगी. बट इन द इंटरनेशनल मार्केट इफ आई टॉक, इंटरनेशनल मार्केट्स में उनकी बहुत सारी इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स हैं. एंड राइट ओवर हियर ऑन योर स्क्रीन, आप लोग जो अभी स्क्रीन पे देख रहे हो वो उन्हीं की एक इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल का आउटलाइन स्केच है जिसका नाम है रेनो जोई. So as you can see in this outline sketch, there are a lot of electric vehicle components, right? Those who want, you can also zoom into their screens and you can see the various components. So मैं अपना जो है clockwise direction में हम लोग will be moving in a clockwise direction from the bottom. Okay, we'll move in a clockwise direction from the bottom, and I'll just point those various components to you because in the upcoming slides I'm going to explain the different type of components which you see right in here. Okay, so starting with the very first component from the bottom in a clockwise direction, we have got the electric motor. The electric motor in this vehicle is fixed in the front wheel. Okay, if you would be having idea, we have two different type of drive layouts: the front wheel drive layout and the rear wheel drive layout. There are vehicles with a front wheel drive, wherein the vehicle is being pulled by the front wheels, and there are also certain vehicles which are mostly powered by the rear wheels of the vehicle, or the energy or the power which is being generated at the source is channelized to the rear wheels. Those will be defined as rear wheel drive vehicles. और जिन सारी गाड़ियों में हमारी जो पावर सोर्स की एनर्जी है जो फ्रंट व्हील में जाएगी, उनको हम फ्रंट व्हील ड्राइव व्हीकल्स बोलते हैं. Okay, so the Renault Zoe, being an electric hatchback, is a front wheel drive powered vehicle or front wheel driven vehicle, and as you can see, the electric motor is connected to the front wheels of your EV. So this is basically a transaxle arrangement or transaxle configuration that we have. Okay, so we have got the electric motor right at the right as the first component. Then we have the two different charging sockets. Okay, now you have a DC charging socket or a fast charging socket, and then you have the normal AC charging socket. So why they need to be different? Okay, see, in mobile phones what we do is, the mobile phones, if I take the example, okay, normally our phones are equipped with fast charging technologies as well, but they do not have two different ports. They have one single port जिनमें fast charging भी होती है, normal charging भी होती है. But in electric vehicles or in any such heavy electricity applications, what we do is, in order to make the process lot more safer and efficient as well, what we do is we provide two different type of sockets. We segregate the pathways of traveling of electrical energy, or we have two different ways for traveling of direct current and alternating current. With direct current, we are going to fast charge our electric vehicles, which is quite a convenient and necessary feature to the users these days. Okay, we have fast charging stations, and we need to fast charge our battery packs so that we can have a quick amount of quick filling of the battery in the shortest possible time. Then we have the AC charging socket. The AC charging socket is basically that type of socket which will recharge our battery packs at a very normal pace. So basically, guys, if I tell you now, there are three different ways of charging. Okay, there are three different levels of charging: level 1, level 2, and level 3 charging. The level 1 charging is the slowest rate of charging. You would be taking 12 to 14 hours to completely fill your battery from 0 to 100%. Okay, so that is your slowest rate of charging. Then you have the second level or level 2 charging. Level 2 charging mein kya hota hai? You require about 6 to 8 hours. Okay, you need up to need about 6 to 8 hours of battery being connected to the charger in order to charge it from 0 to 100. And the level 3 charging, which is the DC fast charging or quick charging technology, उसमें क्या होता है? You need about 1 to 2 hours to completely fill your battery up. Okay, from 0 to 100, you would be requiring only 2 to 4 hours at max. Okay, in about 2 to 4 hours of time, you can be completely filling your battery from 0 to 100%. So depending on the levels of charging, depending on the types of charging, normally level 1 and level 2 charging take place with alternating current, and as the name suggests, level 3 charging takes place with DC or direct current. Okay, so we for that purpose only, for those purposes only, we have got two different types of charging sockets: the AC charging socket and the DC charging socket. Now all the charging process is being monitored by one singular device, which is known as the onboard charger. If you look closely, those who are viewing on your mobile phones, you can view very closely the charging sockets. Okay, the charging sockets that we have, they are cut or they are made into one device which is known as, or which is marked as, the onboard charger. So the onboard charger basically is that component of your EV which will be monitoring the charging process, which will look after the charging process, so that, because see, there is one such important, okay, it is like important, underline it 3 times. The batteries of our electric vehicles are most prone to damage when they are being recharged. जब हमारी बैटरी रिचार्ज हो रही होती है, उसी टाइम पे ही उसके डैमेजेस के ज्यादा से ज्यादा चांसेस होती हैं. ओके, जब हमारी बैटरी पैक चार्ज हो रही होती है या फिर it is mostly being recharged with fast charging. At that point of time, what happens is our battery pack has the highest chances of getting damaged. So we need to monitor the charging process in a very meticulous manner so that we recharge our battery packs, but at the same time we are going to protect them as well. Now, in order to do that, the responsibility has been given to the OBC, or the onboard charger. Okay, so that is your onboard charger of your vehicle. Then you have the power control unit. Now the power control unit is actually your parent of your electric vehicle. Okay, it is your parent or the guardian of your electric vehicle. It looks after each and every function which is going in and around the electric vehicle. गाड़ी में जो भी function हो रहा है, चाहे वो throttle pedal का pressure, throttle pedal पे driver का foot का pressure होना हो, या फिर हमारी motor से amount of power going to the wheels क्यों ना हो, like each and every smallest functions which takes place in an electric vehicle is reported to our power controller unit or power electronics controller. It is one of the most important components of your electric vehicle, which looks after the electric vehicle just like a guardian looks after his or her child. Okay, so that is your power electronics controller. And now coming or addressing the elephant in the room, which is the energy source, which is also known as the battery pack. And right here you can see it has been marked as the lithium ion battery. Now in the Renault Zoe, we have got a lithium ion battery, and nowadays most of the manufacturers are using lithium ion batteries in order to power their electric vehicles up. But also there are certain other manufacturers which still use lead acid batteries, like mostly the e-rickshaw. If you notice, or mostly the two-wheelers, there are certain two-wheelers with lead acid cells, and there are most of the e-rickshaws with lead acid cells. But in four-wheeler segment or in commercial vehicle segment, almost all of the manufacturers these days are using only lithium ion batteries. So as I have already told you, battery packs are not the only source of energy. Okay, the battery packs are not the only source of electrical energy for EVs, but they are the most reliable, most trusted source of energy. Okay, if you want to make an electric vehicle, the first thought that you have or that you would be having कि यार जब मैं EV बनाने जाता हूँ ना, I'll make a battery electric vehicle because they are the simplest. Okay, they have the simplest layout and they are very easy to make as well. So for that reason, what happens is we have more number of battery electric vehicles running on the roads of all over the globe. It's not only that India, or it's not only about any particular market. There are more number of battery electrics than the number of hybrids or plug-in hybrids. Yes, hybrids and plug-in hybrids are much more dependent, much more reliant in these times with a poor charging infrastructure. But making from the makers or the manufacturer's point of view, the battery electrics are cheaper and easier to manufacture. So in here, as you can see, we have got a lithium ion battery pack being used. So there are a lot of other ways, lot of other sources of energy which we can be using, like a fuel cell or a supercapacitor or a flywheel, which we will be discussing in a few. So guys, this was about your basic acquaintance of your components of electric vehicles. Now moving on towards the detailed comprehension of the components of electric vehicles, as I showed you, which is the electric motor. As I said, electric motor does not need any sort of introduction. It doesn't need any kind of introduction because it is the only source or only way of converting your electrical energy of your energy source into mechanical energy for propulsion. Okay, your electrical energy will be converted into mechanical energy by this particular device only. Mostly they are of two different types depending upon the source of energy. If we have got a AC source, we'll be using an AC motor, and if we use a DC source, we will be using a DC motor as the output. Okay, so that is your electric motor. Then onboard charger, as I explained, onboard charger basically is used to recharge the battery packs of your electric vehicle, either from the AC supply or from the DC supply. Okay, see, normally what happens now, if we are recharging our battery packs, let us assume the situation wherein we are recharging our battery packs by level 1 or level 2 charging. So जैसे मैंने बताया था, level 1 or level 2 में we would be using alternating current. But just remember one fact, battery packs never accept or never give alternating current. Every point of time, at every given instance of time, they will only charge or discharge direct current. Okay, so the AC supply which is coming in from the charger has to be converted into direct current, which will be done by the onboard charging circuit only. There is a very predefined circuit for the onboard charger which involves a converter, which involves an inverter. So there are a lot of other associated components in electric vehicles. मतलब एक system के साथ 10 और components associate होके ही वो पूरे system को काम करवाती हैं. Since I did not have a lot of time to include all those components, मैंने सिर्फ उनके primary component या parent component के बारे में ही mention करा हुआ है यहाँ पे. Okay, since I have lack of time, I know, and this is going to be very much specific to fuel cells, and just to make you guys aware of the various components, I just listed the parent component or the most important component in your electric vehicle. But along with these components, now there are a lot of other associated components which will be involved and will help the system to operate seamlessly. So similarly, with the onboard charger, we have, or the onboard charging circuit, we have an inverter or a converter being used, which will convert the polarity of the current. As I explained, if we have got a AC supply or alternating current being used to recharge the battery, we need to convert it to DC, right? So we will be doing that with an inverter or the converter. Now the converter will be mostly used when we would be fast charging our batteries. Okay, normally the converter will be mostly used when we would be fast charging our battery, because let's say ki our battery pack is a 1.5 kilowatt charger. Okay, my battery pack is 1.5 kilowatt or has a capacity of 1.5 kilowatt, but my charger is, let's say, at 7 kilowatts. So if I completely allow those 7 kilowatts into my battery pack, it is going to damage my battery pack. It is going to overcharge my battery pack, or there will be a problem of over voltage rising in my battery, which will eventually damage my battery pack, right? So I need to reduce that 7 kilowatt of power into 1.5 kilowatt so that it can be it can be compatible with my battery pack. Okay, my battery pack can recharge at 1.5 kilowatts. My maximum fast charging power or fast charging capacity of my battery pack is rated at 1.5 kilowatts. But I drive my vehicle to a charging station in my city. There is only one public fast charging station which is rated at 7 kilowatts, right? So I cannot provide the complete 7 kilowatt of power to my battery pack in order to prevent it from being damaged. So what I'll do is, yes, I can drive my vehicle to the 7 kilowatt charging station, and I can still use that charging station to recharge my battery pack. But what I got to do is, I have to reduce the 7 kilowatt of power to 1.5 kilowatt, which will be suitable for my battery pack, and that will be done. Okay, the DC supply of 7 kilowatt will be reduced to a 1.5 kilowatt of DC output. The input of 7 kilowatt DC will be converted to 1.5 kilowatt DC output by the use of a DC to DC converter, which is present in my onboard charging circuit. Okay, मेरे पास एक onboard charging circuit होती है जिसमें either inverter या फिर converter का use होता है, and there are lot of amount of time wherein both of them are used, both the inverter and both the converter are used, right? So नॉर्मली जब मैं कोई एसी चार्जिंग स्टेशन पे अपनी गाड़ी को लेके जाता हूँ, मेरा बैटरी पैक मतलब जब मैं कनेक्ट करता हूँ मेरे लाइक चार्जिंग सॉकेट के साथ उसको कनेक्ट करता हूँ, माय एसी विल बी कन्वर्टेड टू डीसी बाय द यूज ऑफ द इन्वर्टर प्रेजेंट इनसाइड द सर्किट, एंड व्हेन आई एम लाइक fast charging my battery pack, the DC, the high power DC will be converted to a low power DC with the help of a converter only. Okay, which is obviously involved in along with the onboard charger and the onboard charging circuit. Okay, now moving on towards the power electronics controller. As I have mentioned you, it is the guardian of your electric vehicle, looks after each and every function which is going in and around the electric vehicle, right? So it is one of the most important component of your EVs. It controls all the electrical and mechanical function which is going in and around the electric vehicles. It basically forms a bridge of communication. See, the controller, as I just forgot to mention about this, the controller is the only gateway of communication between the driver and the electronic and the computers involved inside your vehicle. See, normally in any modern day car, if you look, there are about 80 to 240 computers. Okay, nowadays the the vehicles, the automobiles in general, are mostly being driven by computers. For most part of the time, we are driving our vehicles on computers. Now, there has to be a proper synchronization to be maintained between the driver of the vehicle and the involved computers. So there has to be a component which must be maintaining a pathway of communication between the both. There has to be a bridge of communication between the both, which in electric vehicles is done by the power electronics controller. It takes the input, from the driver and commands the electronic systems of your vehicle so that they can operate on the wish, or they can operate according to the desired, according to the desires of the driver. Okay, so that is how it basically forms a gap, it gaps the bridge. Okay, this is how it basically gaps the bridge between the driver and the electronic systems. Then it has got a lot of complex algorithms. Okay, now in order to do all these major functions, the controller is basically a computer itself. वो controller खुद में ही एक computer होता है. So उसमें क्या basically होता है ना, there are a lot of algorithms, like there are C programming codes. Okay, there are programming codes which are written on it, and depending on them only, or relying on them only, the controller will be working in order to make the vehicle work in a very seamless manner to its best. Okay, so that is your power electronics controller. Now coming on towards the energy management system. Now the energy management system is also one of the primary important component. जैसे आप लोगों ने नाम सुना होगा battery management system का, right? If of you, if few of you would be into electric vehicles or would have been following electric vehicles since so long, they would have at least come across the term which is known as the battery management system. Now, the battery management system will be mostly used with the battery electric vehicles, but with a fuel cell, I'm not going to use the battery management system. Or in a hybrid electric vehicle, I'm not going to use the battery management system as the primary, as my primary energy management. Rather, what we can, the battery management system, the fuel cell management, or the IC engine management system, all of them are the subcategories of the energy management system. They have been classified, the energy management systems have been classified into different types depending upon the energy source. If I have a IC engine, I'll call it as a ECU, or a engine control unit. If I have got a battery pack, I will call it as a battery management system. If I have got a fuel cell, I will call it as a FCMS, a fuel cell management system. So depending upon the energy source, there are different types of management systems which we have. So there are a lot of major responsibilities that energy management system has to confer. Sorry, it has to defer a lot of major operations or major responsibilities which are to be carried out by the energy management system. Like, it has to take care of the energy production, it has to help and monitor, it has to monitor, manage and regulate the charging procedure, the discharging procedure of your energy sources. It plays a very important role when the battery is being charged. As I mentioned, the battery packs are the most prone to damage when they are being recharged. So the energy management system, or a BMS in particular, if I have to say, it plays a very important role, very crucial role when the batteries are being charged. Now it is mostly chosen on the basis of energy source used for EV, which I just mentioned. Okay, if you are using a fuel cell, you cannot use a battery management system to regulate the fuel cell. You have to have a management system which will be compatible with the technology of fuel cell only, right? So that is how basically it works. You cannot use a BMS for controlling an IC engine, right? So it depends completely on the energy source based on which you are going to be having different type of energy management systems. Okay, so this was about your energy management system of your EVs. Now, just one question to you guys. Are you guys all clear with this? Is it clear to all of you the energy management system? Yes, sir. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Uh-huh. Fine. Now that you are clear enough, we are moving on toward the energy sources which are used in electric vehicles. So as I have already mentioned to you guys, the battery packs, there are multitude of ways. Okay, there are multitude of ways, which we can be using in our electric vehicles to power them up. Okay, it is not only the battery packs, it is not only the fuel cells, there are multiple ways. Okay, there are multiple ways. So as a part of that, now in this particular topic of EV energy sources, that is what we are going to be discussing. Okay, that is what we are going to be discussing in this particular topic of EV energy sources. So basically, as I have mentioned, there are multiple ways. So starting off with the batteries, as I have been telling you multiple times, batteries have been around us for the largest amount of time. They are the tried, tested, and proven technology which we use in our electric vehicles these days for powering them up. They have been around us for the longest amount of time, and this is the very reason. Now, ये जो historical aspect है, that is not one primary reason for which manufacturers use battery packs. Rather, it is the cost point of view. Okay, we have more number of battery electric vehicles running on our roads just because of the cost. Okay, the manufacturing cost of battery electric vehicles is way more cheaper than your hybrid electrics or your manufacturing of plug-in hybrid or even fuel cells as well. Okay, because and other than that, the battery electrics are a lot more mechanically, technologically simpler than making a fuel cell electric or a hybrid electric vehicle. So that is the very reason for which our manufacturers use or make battery electrics for the larger amount of time. Okay, so that is why again the manufacturers mostly use battery packs as a primary energy source, right? So the battery packs, so that was about your battery packs. Now moving on towards the ultra flywheels or flywheel energy storage systems. See, the flywheel energy storage systems, not although very popular, but yes, they are used for, they have been used since quite a long time. Okay, it was almost in 1950s. ये जो flywheel energy storage systems है, they are being used in various they had various areas of application from 1950s only. 1950 से ये बहुत सारे different areas में use होने लगी थी. Now mostly the flywheel energy storage systems were initially developed for the power plants. Okay, nowadays also our flywheel energy storage systems are being used in power plants like your thermal or your you know hydropower station. So वहां पे अभी भी flywheel energy storage systems use होती है. Okay, so now that they have proved their efficiency, now that they have proved themselves to be efficient and productive in the industrial applications, the manufacturers now got them down to the automobile systems as well. Nowadays there are certain manufacturers who are using flywheels in order to power the electric vehicles up. Now the flywheel energy storage or the ultra capacitors, they are not energy production sources. Let me tell you, unlike battery packs or fuel cells, the flywheel energy storage or the supercapacitors are not energy production sources. They are your energy storage sources. Okay, unlike your like your battery pack में क्या होता है, हमारी एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस होती है, हम लोग एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं. बट इन by the use of a flywheel or ultra capacitor हम लोग energy produce नहीं कर पाते, but we can store. They are like the sponge inside your kitchen sink. Okay, आपके kitchen sink में क्या होता है, you have got a dishwashing sponge and that sponge can absorb huge quantity of water. but it obviously cannot produce water. वो पानी बना तो नहीं सकती ना, सिर्फ स्टोर कर सकती है, और वो भी बहुत अच्छे क्वांटिटी में. That is what the flywheel energy storage or the ultra capacitors or the super capacitors are capable of. They can absorb in a huge amount of electrical energy in a very small space, as a result of which they become lot more energy efficient than our battery packs. Okay, the flywheel energy storage systems and the super capacitors have got a way higher energy efficiency than our battery packs, just for the fact that they can store a huge amount of energy in a very small volume when you compare them to the battery packs. The energy density of flywheels and the energy density of ultra capacitors is very higher than that of a battery pack. Okay, so that is the primary reason for which I had included, or I have included, the flywheel energy storage and the ultra capacitors in this particular slide. Normally the flywheel energy storage systems, if I got to tell you, what they do is they mostly store the energy in their rotation, as you could be seeing in the previous slide. So now, as you could be seeing on the slide, the flywheel is constantly spinning, right? So the flywheel stores the energy in its spinning only, in its rotation only. And as you can see, it is connected to a electrical generator. In the adjacent picture, you can see that the rotating flywheel is connected to an electrical generator. So which means the rotational energy can be converted into electrical energy and can be stored inside the battery pack. So mostly our flywheel energy storage is used along with your regenerative braking systems. Okay, your flywheel energy storage systems are mostly used by those kind of vehicles which have got a mechanical regen braking system. Regenerative braking system are of different types, either chemical, they are electrochemical based, they are mechanical based, and hydraulic energy based. So the mechanical energy based systems, mechanical based regen braking systems, use flywheels for recovering the energy from the drivetrain and convert them to, or store them in the rotation of the flywheel. Now there is another one vehicle which is known as the Volvo S60 Hybrid. Okay, the Volvo S60 Hybrid is one such hybrid electric vehicle which uses a carbon fiber flywheel in its rear axle to recover the energy from the drive wheels on regen braking. And this layout which you see right now on your screen of the flywheel energy storage system is of the Volvo S60 Hybrid only. ये जो flywheel है ये carbon fiber material से बनी हुई है और ये connected है एक electrical generator के साथ. And the rotational energy of the of the flywheel will be converted into electrical energy by the generator only, since they are connected to each other with one common shaft. Okay, so that is how basically our flywheels work. Okay, if in a layman's term if I say, मतलब simple शब्दों में बोलूं तो this is how basically हमारी जो है ultra flywheels या flywheel energy storage systems काम करती है. Cool. Now moving on towards the ultra capacitors. Ultra capacitors again are basically those type of energy sources which mostly are used for storing electrical energy. हमारी ultra capacitors जो हैं वो भी हमारी energy storage के लिए use होती हैं. And what they basically do is they convert electrical energy, they store electrical energy in its electrostatic form. Okay, ये electric energy को या फिर electrical energy को अपने electrostatic form में store करती है in between the plates. So normally we have got two different type of capacitors, the parallel plate capacitor and the circular plate capacitor. So in electric vehicles, depending on the manufacturer, we use both the type of capacitors, and they are mostly used, as I have already told you, just because of the only fact that they can store huge amount of energy in a very small space, as a result of which they have high energy efficiency than our battery packs. Okay, so these are your primary energy sources. Now coming to the last type of energy source, which is obviously the fuel cells. The fuel cells are the most advanced the most advanced technology of energy sources that are to be used for that are meant to be used for a battery electric for electric vehicles. I'm so sorry. The fuel cells are the most advanced technology that have been developed for the use in electric vehicles, and they also there are different type of fuel cells which we will be seeing tomorrow, जो कि still under development हैं. ऐसा नहीं है कि like fuel cells have been completely developed and they are in full-fledged use. There are, there are also different type of fuel cells which are still under production, and it is not only for automotive applications that they are being developed. There are industrial applications, there are mobile applications for which the fuel cells are being developed, which I will be showing you in tomorrow's session. Okay, so that is about the different type of energy sources in our electric, or for for the use in electric vehicles. Okay, now moving on towards the working phenomena. यार देखो, electric vehicles have got a very basic working phenomena. Okay, that is like, again, no rocket science being involved, which will cause a lot of confusion. Yes, obviously there are a lot of complex algorithms involved, there are a lot of computers being involved, but the process is just like a cakewalk. Okay, like a lot of people, it is like not very complicated or not very sophisticated that you can't get up to this. Okay, it is like quite simple सा है, but for those which is not simple, जिन लोगों के लिए ये simple नहीं है, guys, let me explain to, मतलब जिनके लिए है उनको भी explain करूंगा. I mean, I'll explain to those who seem, to whom these technology seems simple, and also to them, and majorly to them जिनको ये simple नहीं लगती है. Okay, so guys, as you could be seeing right now on your screen, this is a motion picture. Okay, अभी तुम लोग अपने screens पर एक motion picture देख पा रहे होगे, which is of an electric vehicle. So let me walk you through the various क्या बोलते हैं उसको, labelings. Okay, let me walk you through the various labelings on the screen. So starting from the left side, center left से start करूँ तो you have the driver throttle pedal. Okay, on your center left you have the throttle pedal which is present inside the driver's cabin. Then going in a clockwise direction, you have the battery pack which will provide electricity. Now the electricity will be provided to the electric motor, quite obviously, right? So this is a working phenomenon of a battery electric. Okay, so as you can see, the battery will be providing electricity. Okay, the electricity will be provided to the battery pack of the electricity will be provided by the battery pack of the EV towards the electric motor. Now when the electric motor will receive, okay, the electric motor will be receiving the supply of electric energy from the battery pack depending upon the throttle input being given by the driver. हमारा ड्राइवर जितना throttle input देगा, उसी के हिसाब से ही हमारी बैटरी पैक जो है वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी डिस्चार्ज करेगी टू द electric motor. Okay, depending upon the throttle input being given by the driver, our battery pack will be discharging the corresponding amount of electrical energy towards the electric motor of our towards the motor of our EV. Now, how will the battery pack know what is the amount of throttle input? Battery pack को कैसे पता चलेगा कि ड्राइवर ने कितना इनपुट दिया है? Now, what will happen is, in the driver's cabin we would be using sensors. Don't forget the fact we are discussing about a modern day EV with 80 to 240 computers being used. The computers are the brain of any circuit. Now if you have got a brain, you need to have sensors, you need to have hands, you need to have legs, right? You need to have the skin, you need to have the sensory organs, you need to have the actuators, right? So in electric vehicles also, if my computers are the brain, there are sensory organs present as well, which are very well known as sensors. Okay, so for each and every function that we have in EV or in any automobile, we have different type of sensors for each of them. To make a vehicle drive, to understand the amount of throttle input being given by the driver, we have a sensor named as throttle position sensor. ओके, ड्राइवर हमारी बैटरी पैक से कितनी एनर्जी डिमांड कर रहा है उसको पता करने के लिए हमारे पास एक सेंसर होती है जिसको हम बोलते हैं throttle position sensor. The throttle position sensor, what it will basically do is it will detect the position of the throttle pedal by comparing it with the vertical and the horizontal. Okay, the position of the throttle pedal will always be measured by the throttle position sensor in terms of an angle theta. Okay, let us consider हमारी throttle position जो है by default it is at 30 degrees. Just an assumption, okay? Don't take me serious. The numbers are only assumptions. Let us assume that my throttle position in the default condition, jab, when we have applied no pressure onto it, in my default condition, my throttle is at 30 degrees of an incline. Okay, my throttle is at 30 degrees incline. Now, when I apply the pressure on my throttle pedal, what will happen is the angle between the throttle pedal and the horizontal will start reducing. As a result of which my throttle position sensor will get to know my driver is applying some amount of throttle input. Okay, for all those who are not well versed with English, जिन लोगों को English नहीं समझ आती, मैं आप लोगों के लिए हिंदी में एक बारी बोल देता हूँ. नॉर्मली जो थ्रॉटल पोजीशन सेंसर है वो क्या करती है, हमारी थ्रॉटल की पोजीशन या फिर जो एक्सेलरेटर पेडल की पोजीशन है वो हमेशा एंगल में मेजर करती है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू वर्टिकल, आई मीन विद रिस्पेक्ट टू हॉरिजॉन्टल. ओके, हमारी हॉरिजॉन्टल से वो हमेशा थ्रॉटल पेडल की पोजीशन को कंपेयर करती रहती है. मान लीजिए कि जब हमने कोई प्रेशर अप्लाई नहीं करी हुई है हमारी थ्रॉटल पेडल पे, उसका जो पोजीशन है वो डिफॉल्ट कंडीशन में 30 डिग्रीज पे रहती है. ओके, नॉर्मली आप लोगों ने नोटिस करा होगा थ्रॉटल पेडल जो होता है वो पूरा फ्लैट नहीं होता या फिर पूरा स्टीप वर्टिकल नहीं होता. इट इज ऑलवेज मेंटेन्ड एट अ सर्टेन एंगल, राइट? सो जब मैं लेट अस अज्यूम कि डिफॉल्ट कंडीशन में हम मान लेते हैं कि डिफॉल्ट कंडीशन में वो 30 डिग्रीज इंक्लाइन पे है, बट जब मैंने पेडल पे प्रेशर अप्लाई करा, व्हेन आई अप्लाई सम प्रेशर ऑन द थ्रॉटल पेडल, क्या होगा, मेरी जो एंगल है वो जो 30 डिग्रीज एंगल है इट विल स्टार्ट टू रिड्यूस, इट विल स्टार्ट टू डिप, right? So as a result of which, when the dipping of the throttle pedal or the dipping of the angle of the throttle pedal takes place from default condition, मेरा जो है throttle position sensor को पता चल पाता है कि my driver is requiring some amount of throttle input. Okay, so depending on that, the throttle position sensor will send the data to the controller of our electric vehicle. The power electronics controller will check with the battery pack and the battery management system, and similarly both of them will be coordinating, will be synchronizing, and will be discharging the required amount of electrical energy to our electric motor. And as you can see with the electric motor, we have got a shaft. Okay, we have a protruding shaft. The shaft will be connected to the drive wheels of your electric vehicle, or it will be connected to the differential, which obviously will be having wheels at its either ends. So this is how normally when we apply the pressure on the throttle pedal, depending on the amount of change in the angle of the throttle pedal, the controller will be asking the battery pack to discharge the required amount of electrical energy. Before discharging, the condition of the battery pack will be checked by the battery management system. If the condition, if the BMS certifies yes, the battery pack is safe enough to discharge, or the battery pack has that amount of electrical energy, the required amount of energy will be supplied to the motor, and subsequently the motor will convert that into mechanical energy and power up the drive wheels of our vehicle. So this is how normally our electric vehicles work. Okay, so guys, this was all about your session of the first day. I would like to take some questions up from you guys. So, how did you like it, guys? कैसा था आपका first day? आप लोगों को अच्छा लगा? I mean, did you? Guys, how did you like the first day of your session? Please do let me know in the chat box. And those who have questions, you can like raise your hands. Yes, Mohammed Amir, you are trying to speak something.
Sir, very nice presentation, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. कल जो है कल भी ज्वाइन करना, बहुत ही अच्छा इंटरेस्टिंग रहेगा, बिकॉज कल हम लोग फ्यूल सेल के बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे. सो दैट इज व्हाट यू आर गोना बी आल्सो एंजॉयिंग क्वाइट अ लॉट. फैंटास्टिक. ओके, थैंक यू सो मच. अभी जो लोगों का डाउट, Yes.
Yeah, very fine.
Thank you. Guys, what I'm saying is, let us take some questions. Let us take some questions from the raised hands. So those who have got doubts in the session, please raise your hands up so that I can like unmute you, or probably the host only can unmute you. I cannot unmute you. So Siddhant sir, or whoever is the host or the co-host, please try unmuting the students so that they can like put their questions up.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. I have one question.
Yes, Pranav.
Sir, can you tell me difference between battery and energy management system?
Battery management and energy management system, there is no such difference. There is no such difference. Okay, as I mentioned, the energy management system is the broad category, and it has been divided into subcategories depending upon the energy source on the automobiles. If I have got a engine being used, I will call my energy management system as the ECU, or the engine control unit. If I am using a battery pack, I'll name it as the battery management system. If I am using a fuel cell, I'll call it as the FCMS, or a fuel cell management system. So it depends. It is actually the name of the energy management system corresponds to the name of the energy source that we are using. So there is no such difference.
Okay, sir.
Sir, I'm having one.
Yes, Abhinesh, right? Pranav, you can lower your hand probably. Yeah, thank you, Pranav. भूल गया मैं नाम. हाँ, Abhinesh.
So you said that flywheel stores energy, whereas battery packs produce energy.
हाँ.
So how can battery packs produce energy? Even they store energy, right?
Okay. I get it. School wali physics. Energy can neither be created, energy can neither be destroyed, but it can be changed from one form to another. That is what you are saying, na?
Yeah. But no,
Okay.
the thing is that we charge the battery, then only the charge gets stored in the
Yes.
battery. So
It is my bad. It is my bad. I'm so sorry if I mentioned produce. Rather, basically, what happens is energy. I mean, the electrical energy is converted into chemical in the charging process, and vice versa takes place in the discharging process. So it is not that energy is produced. Rather, energy is converted from one form to another. So it is my bad if I mentioned battery packs produce energy, or fuel cells produce energy. Okay, it is my bad. I'm so sorry.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, cool.
Hello, sir.
Okay. Hi, who is it? Farish, is it? Abhinesh,
Ajit.
you can lower your hand. Guys, those who are
Hello, sir.
having their questions answered, please lower your hands, okay?
Hello, sir.
ये एक मिनट तरुण, एक मिनट. जिन लोगों के क्वेश्चंस आंसर हो जा रहे हैं, आप लोग अपना हैंड पुट डाउन कर लीजिए, क्योंकि मेरे को कंफ्यूजन होती है यार. Okay. So yes, Tarun, moving on to you.
Sir, what is the difference between supercapacitor and fuel cell?
Sorry, supercapacitor and
Fuel cell.
fuel cell. Oh, they are completely different, brother. Fuel cell and supercapacitor are completely different. Supercapacitor is an energy storage device. Most importantly, your supercapacitor is an energy storage device. But in fuel cells, what we can do is they are the generators. Okay, they are just like the generators of electricity. Like you put in fuel in them, they will start making electrical energy out of it. In fuel cells, what we do is we can convert the chemical energy of the fuel into electrical energy for driving the vehicle. But in ultra capacitors or supercapacitors, they cannot make. Okay, we can only put in electrical energy into them, and they will later on produce or discharge that stored energy out of it. Okay, सुपर कैपेसिटर्स में हमारी सिर्फ एनर्जी स्टोर हो सकती है, और बाद में जब रिक्वायरमेंट पड़ेगी हम वो स्टोर्ड एनर्जी को कहीं भी कोई भी डिफरेंट सर्किट्स में यूज कर सकते हैं. बट इन फ्यूल सेल्स व्हाट वी कैन डू इज वी कैन हेल्प वी कैन कन्वर्ट एनर्जी फ्रॉम वन फॉर्म टू अनदर. वहां पे क्या होता है, फ्यूल सेल्स में हम लोग हाइड्रोजन की केमिकल एनर्जी को कन्वर्ट करते हैं अपनी इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी के लिए. सो दे कैन जनरेट इलेक्ट्रिकल दे कैन जनरेट इलेक्ट्रिकल इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. But supercapacitors cannot generate electricity, rather they can only store electricity. Okay.
Hello, sir.
तरुण, मैं तरुण के साथ बात कर रहा था शायद. कहाँ गया वो? तरुण, क्लियर हो?